Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Cooking for College Students. I am making pad thai today. I'm super excited about it, so we're gonna jump right in because my girlfriend's hungry and wants to eat. So, first, peanut butter. We're gonna start with the sauce, I should say. This is the most complicated step of making pad thai, and I want to get it right out of the way because once it's all together, it can just sit and then we can focus on the more technical cooking aspect. So, peanut butter. We're going to start with that. We need 1/4 cup. It doesn't have to be super specific, so I'm just going to dive right in here and get that out. Try and even it off as best I can, but I'm actually going to go grab a knife because I forgot to do that. Be right back. Okay, so now we're going to get this out of here. Right in bowl, 1/4 cup. Like I said, it doesn't have to be very specific, as long as it's close. It's not the most powerful ingredient. It's not going to be lacking if there's a little bit less. And I apologize for any nasty metal scraping noises this makes, but we want to get as much of that as we can. Okay. After that, we're going to use something called agave. This is a sugar supplement. It's way easier and a little bit healthier than using like corn syrup or just your normal granulated sugar. So we need 4 tablespoons of this. The same thing, you know, if it runs over a little bit, if it's a little less, it's no big deal as long as you're kind of getting the gist of it. 3 and 4. Sweet. And then next we need some water. I took the liberty of measuring out 3 tablespoons of water and sticking it in the solo cup because I figured that was proper for a Cooking for College Students channel. So I'm just going to dump it in here to kind of rinse the rest of the agave out. Make sure that gets in there. 3 tablespoons of water. Next, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I use Kikkoman. That's what I grew up using. Again, if you're balling on a budget, just buy Wegmans brand. 2 tablespoons of this. Right in there. There we go. Next, tablespoon of vinegar. And a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Don't use olive oil. A lot of people confuse the two. Olive oil is like a little seasoned and it will make a difference. Definitely go with veggie oil. Ooh, there you go. And last wet ingredient we have is lime juice. This is going to kind of help cut through the vinegar and the soy sauce so it's not super strong in the sauce. Get this in here, it's a little crazy when it sprays it everywhere. Sweet. Okay, next we're going to move on to our spices. First here we have ground ginger. So when you're shopping for this, the spices are probably going to be the most expensive thing that you go for. And you gotta view it kind of like an investment. You know, ginger, I think it's like $4 for this little tiny thing, but you're measuring things out by the teaspoon. You're gonna have it for a long time. And you know, you're not gonna be making things like this every day. So it's gonna last you a while, but just keep that in mind. So, teaspoon of ground ginger. We're moving on to our garlic powder. These all get a teaspoon. Chili powder. And then a teaspoon of salt. Now salt, you gotta be careful with. You don't wanna go too crazy with it. So when I'm measuring this out, I'll kind of palm my measuring spoon and then just make sure that I'm not going too crazy. See, I'm already dumping it everywhere. And then kind of just level it out in the palm of your hand, get a little bit more, and then dump it right in. And then any excess, if you want to try and save it, you can. Just pour it right back in there, and I'm just going to dump it real quick. Alright, so with that, all the ingredients are in the sauce. Like I said, the most complicated thing is the fact that it just takes all these things. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try and mix it all up. So the peanut butter is definitely the hardest part to kind of incorporate. And it's gonna take a little bit of mixing to get it broken up and get some of the clumps out. If you do have a little bit of clump in there, it's fine. You know, it's gonna sit while we prepare some of the other things. So in the grand scheme, it's not that big of a deal. But you want to mix it up as best you can. And then, you know, kind of like that. It looks really gross. Can you see it on there? Kind of. So, it looks kind of gross, but, and with that, we're going to walk away. We're just going to leave it. So if you will follow me into the kitchen, we're going to carry on with the process. So the next step is to get the water going. We just want to make sure we turn it on and get the pot heating up before we start going, and that way everything kind of flows together better. So there's already a bunch of water in here, so we're just going to turn that on. Next, it's time to prep for the food, the actual part. So we're going to get a little bit, pardon my reaching in there, vegetable oil. Just dump it in. You want like 2 to 3 teaspoons. It doesn't have to be specific. Just right in there. And get this going on, we'll start it on like 2, so kind of low heat. And then we're going to start prepping our veggies. So what you're going to need is broccoli, carrots, and green onions. The green onions aren't an essential part of the dish. It's more of like a garnish, but I like them. I think they help kind of add a little flavor, so we're going to go with that. And I also like a lot of broccoli, which is why I have this kind of big and little head here. So with this, we're just gonna start cutting and getting it going. I'm gonna cut the stems off the bottom like that, and then keep cutting until they all just kind of fall apart. Then we'll start to come off. My cutting board is really tiny. I don't know why, but this is all I can afford, so shut up. You know, it doesn't have to be pretty. Like that. My counter's clean, I promise, so I'm just gonna kind of move it over there for now to make room on my tiny itty bitty cutting board. And do the same thing with the bigger head here. I suck at cutting broccoli, as you can probably tell, but we're doing what we can. Is it pretty? No. Is it going to taste good? I promise it will. You just don't want like big clumps like this. So. There we go. So there is our broccoli. So now I'm choosing to make this without meat. It's actually going to be a vegetarian dish. If you want chicken or shrimp or any type of meat that traditionally goes in pad thai, you're gonna want to do that first. So don't start with the veggies. If you want to put in like a chicken breast or something like that, cube that up and throw that in the pot and get it going before you start your veggies. So with this broccoli all cut up, we're gonna go ahead and stick it right in there so it can get going. We're actually going to crank our heat up to 4 now, so it's on, you know, like medium low-ish heat. And we're going to go for our carrot now. I'm not a big carrot guy. I prefer to have more broccoli than carrot. So it calls for shredded. If you don't have a shredder, I guess, grater, whatever, just cut it up in really tiny pieces and it'll be fine. But since I went out literally yesterday and bought one because I wanted to look like I know what I'm doing, we're going to use it. Let me just do this straight into the pot here. You want to go ahead and use the whole thing. It's not going to hurt. Not a big carrot guy, so that's what's left. And then for the green onion, these are super simple. They come in this little bundle like this, and I recommend just leaving it like that. The tops here are a little gross, so we're Okay, and then they're going to go in later in the dish. Get these veggies going. I don't know why the pot is taking such a long ass time to heat up, but while that goes, let me run you through some of the garnishes that you guys can have. So these over here, oh actually let me start with this. These are Thai noodles I use. I decided to go with this brand because when I was making it for the very first time, I didn't really know what noodles to get. And so I ended up picking the one that said Pad Thai Noodles in really big block letters. So yeah, you can find that in the back of Wegmans. And just a word for the wise, it says ready in 5 minutes. That's absolute bullshit. It takes like 8. Welcome back. So our veggies are going very nicely now. What we're waiting for with these is to just get them kind of soft. I ended up adding in a little bit more oil too because it wasn't coating everything properly and then evenly. So while those are getting soft, our water's not boiling, so we're gonna go ahead and put in our Pad Thai noodles. So with these, they're different than your like traditional spaghetti noodles in the sense that they stick together a lot more. So having a bigger pot like this is actually super important because it allows them to kind of flow and move, and they won't have just these like giant clumps stuck together. So we're gonna go ahead and drop those in. Give them a stir. Oh, jeez, this one. So with these, you want to make sure that you are constantly moving them around. It's super important, like I said, because they do have a tendency to stick, that you keep those moving. And you can use the same spoon for everything, it's all going to come together eventually. I'm going to go back to these, make sure everything's here. Wrong one. Turn our burner down just a little bit because they are starting to sound off a little bit more than we'd like. Keep these going. Alright, so noodles is on for about 8 minutes now. Our veggies are getting right where we want to. We're going to go ahead and strain these bad boys. And then a fun little trick to keep them from sticking even more is to just add a drizzle of veggie oil. And that'll help them kind of stay oiled up enough and not stick together while they're draining in there. Don't mind the chunks of carrot. It's all going into the same pot. Our veggies are ready. I'm going to turn our burner down. Stick in the noodles, don't drop the colander in. And then this is when we're going to go ahead and throw in our green onion that we cut up earlier. And let these all kind of come together, say hello to each other. Broccoli down, and then for the final step, we're going to get our sauce from earlier, make sure it's still nice and blended, pour that right in there. You can see there's still a few little chunks of peanut butter, and that is okay. It's gonna melt down now that it's on this heat. Now we're gonna get this working nicely together. So it's super important that you turn your heat down for this. I had mine on 5, I've got it now down to 2. Every stove is different, so you know, use your best judgment, but you don't want this sauce to start kind of bubbling and boiling off, because it will burn, it'll stick to the bottom of your pot, and then not only is it going to ruin the taste, but it's going to be a son of a bitch to clean. And so with that, we have our pad thai. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope you're able to emulate this and make it and enjoy it just like we're about to. Now that I'm putting these on YouTube, I feel like I have to say, share this with your friends. Help spread the joy of cooking with everyone. And if you're watching this, you probably know me and you follow me on Instagram. Please send me a message, leave a comment on the video, let me know how I can make this better. I've never done this before, so I'm looking for all the suggestions and the criticism that you can give me to help make these videos better for you guys. And feel free to send me suggestions on what you guys want to see me make. I'm not Bobby Flay, but shit, I'll give it a try. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.